All right, it's Thursday night football time. It's time to go over this just incredible matchup of one of the best teams in the league against one of the worst teams in the league. We're going to get into a little bit about that. I have a little tinfoil koofy take on this one for
Oh
later
boy.
on. I haven't even told AG about this,
Uh-oh.
but we got a lot to talk about here for this one. There's some good player props here that we're going to try to get you in on before anything changes. So we're going to
Yeah.
get into it real quick. This game is 14 points. Eagles favored going on the road at the Texans. You know how I feel about these primetime matchups where it's a touchdown plus dog at home where it looks like there's no reason that they should even be in the game.
Yep.
We're going to get into that later, but for now, AG, and I shout out to Big Mike Radier and Jay Pylon in the chat. AG, what we got, man?
Yeah, shout out to Big Mike Raider. We just did a show with him earlier that we're gonna post tomorrow. So be on the lookout for that. Make sure you hit that subscribe button while you're here because we have a couple more games lined up for the rest of the week. We do our player props every Sunday morning where we get our locks of the day in, and you guys get to tail those. We are 28 units ahead of the game in the last 2 weeks alone in NFL. That's when we really started tracking and doing everything like super officially before we were giving out good picks. We were winning. We know we were winning because our bank account showed it. But
Right.
now we're actually tracking to keep a score, and it's been pretty darn hot since we started doing that. We went 4-0 last Thursday, so trying to stay hot on these Thursday night football plays here. What do you think? Are you taking the Texans on the points there? Is that what you're getting at here?
I, look, man, I can't say that I'm not. And I hadn't really even thought about it that way, but I started looking at this and I was like, man, this has all the makings of those setup games like I talked about in that show that I put together before the season started. Where you have this team that looks like they can't be beaten and a team that looks like they can't stop anybody. The Texans just so let me remind you, the Texans just got run through by Derrick Henry a week ago, or not even a week ago, 5 days ago. Just
Yeah,
he
shout out
just
to them for that, man. That
destroyed
was
it.
a
Yeah,
they
thank you
made so
so
much
much.
money off of that.
Thank you so much. That was huge. I turned a $20 free bet into $190.
Easy, easy.
That's the
Didn't
easiest
even have
money
to
I've ever
sweat it
made.
out.
I didn't do anything. I just said, all right, I had this $20 free bet that they gave me. What do I want to use it for? Let me use it for that. Oh, $190. Sweet. Thanks.
Didn't
That
even
was
have to
easy
sweat
money.
it. But yeah, what you're getting at is these this game looks a
Oh,
little
Josh Jacobs
too
last
far
week.
favored for an
Yeah,
away team, you know?
Josh Jacobs 2 weeks ago did the same thing. He destroyed them. Like they're getting shredded. So I wanna go hard on Miles Sanders in this game, but I'm also looking at this and I'm like, man, what kind of crazy shit is gonna happen to start this game off that could undo the Philadelphia Eagles? You know me, I've been hating on the Eagles this whole time. I don't want to say they're a fraud because their defense is legit and their running game is legit. I just think Jalen Hurts he's solid and he's a lot better than he was his first couple of years at Alabama. But I still think that if you look at their schedule, they haven't played anybody. They haven't really been exposed yet. They almost got exposed by Jacksonville a few weeks back, but then they found a way. Hassan Reddick and the running game got them back into that game, and they ran away with it. But this one, I don't know. As much as I want to go with that tinfoil koofy take and just say, yeah, this is take the Texans, take the points. I'm I'm kind of with John Ryan on this. I don't know if I want to go with a side because I don't feel great about it. Although I do feel like the Eagles should cover this pretty easily. I'm more leaning towards the over, and there's a lot of evidence for why that's the better play.
Yeah, yeah. And speaking of them getting shredded, like we're not talking about the good way. They're not in the gym getting right. They're getting shredded in the run game. The worst rushing defense in the last 20 years was the 2008 Lions. The 0-16 2008 Lions. They were giving up, I think, like 164 or something like that yards per game on the ground. This Texans team is in the 180s right now, at like 187 per game or something like that. And what a perfect matchup for the Eagles, who love to run the ball, right? So I do want to say something though about Jalen Hurts line looks attractive on the surface, but I would advise staying away from it. Not necessarily taking an under because all it takes is him taking off and shredding them for one play and he might hit
Mm-hmm.
it if it happens. But so I would stay
Talking
away from
about this
taking
one?
the over
Wait.
his rushing yards because
Rushing impact. Oh, just his rushing yards. Okay.
because he only they're ever since they've realized that they're like serious contenders nowadays, they had
trying to
not been trying to
protect him.
run him as often.
Right.
Yeah, think about it. He had 2 carries for 10 yards last week against the Steelers, and that was the last time they were favored by 2 touchdowns. And we saw how the game went. They didn't
Yep.
need him to run the ball. They're not going to ask him to run the ball if it's going to go like that. Now, if A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith are having a hell of a game like A.J. Brown had last week, that's even more reason for him to not take off. He's just going to sit back in that pocket and just sling the cheese. But so I would just be cautious about taking that, because when I first looked at it, I was like, "Ooh, I like that." I like taking Jalen Hurts rushing props usually, but right now it seems like they're going to try to protect him more often than not. And even though this Texans defense is terrible stopping the run, that's what makes it look attractive at 40 yards.
Yeah.
But I'm sticking with Miles Sanders for that. I think that Jalen Hurts is going to hand the ball off more so than run the ball.
All right. So how does that play? And is it maybe too early for teams to catch on to this? But if they do start to lean away from on that RPO, on that zone read, if they start leaning away from Jalen Hurts ever keeping it, if he's hardly ever keeping the ball, or if he does, he's dropping back. He's pulling the ball out and then he's doing a quick drop back from that. How do teams start to key on that? And then maybe they're just saying, all right, I dare you to run because I know you're afraid because you're trying to win a Super Bowl.
Here's the thing. I don't think they're afraid. I just think it's a smart strategy when you're playing against teams where you don't need to use it. Keep him healthy. I don't think they're afraid to run him. We know that they like running him. It's very successful. We saw that the first 4 weeks of the season or however long it lasted until they started
why
dialing
risk
it back.
if we don't need to do it.
Yeah, and we saw it last year. I mean, they're if they're in a dogfight, they're bringing out the whole playbook.
Yeah,
especially if they're still undefeated.
Yeah, I got
if they stay undefeated, as long as they stay undefeated, if they're in a dogfight, they'll run them if they need to. If it comes down to that. But
yeah, it makes sense.
In a game like this where we think it might get away from the Texans anyway, there's no point in even looking his way if you're the offensive coordinator for the Eagles. Why would you run him in a game like this unless it shocks us all, which is what you were kind of getting at when we started the show, and the Texans keep this thing close. Then we're talking about something different, but it's not a risk that I'm willing to take. So I just wanted to make that shout out of just, making everybody cautious of it. If you love it, it might hit for you, but I'm staying away from it.
I'm just thinking, I'm trying to think of how this scenario plays out. Cause we talked about it with the Broncos Seahawks game. And then with that Colts Chiefs game where just some crazy shit happens. The Seahawks were the beneficiaries of multiple goal line fumbles by the Broncos in that game. I could just see this, Houston comes out and they're playing at home. They lose the toss. Philadelphia defers, and the Texans come out and kick an onside kick on the opening kickoff and get it. and then it's just, so I'm
I don't think they're bold enough to do that right now.
I don't know.
I just crazy.
No, not really. They suck. What do they have to lose at this point? That's what I'm saying. I'm saying this is your classic matchup of everybody knows that there's no chance you're winning this game. So you're basically you're the the little 5'6", scrappy kid in the alley, and you're just you know what? Fuck it, I'm taking a shot at the big guy. And you just come out, you get dirty, you do all kinds of crazy shit.
There's a chance they cover for sure. I agree with you on that. I'm not taking the Eagles at this high of a spread. I said it last week, and I know they cashed it. But I mean, it seemed like they probably worked on it at halftime, their second half debacles. But it seemed like they worked on it, I guess. So but I need to see that more consistently. I need to see that more than one time against the Steelers to actually put my money behind that. I mean, a 14-point spread for them right now, the way they've been consistently playing in the second halves is not something I want to take. But that's probably a good transition to get in some of these props because we do like the way they play in the first half. So to keep it on the teams before we get into the player props that we have for you and a pretty juicy same game parlay that we're going to build together here. Hopefully you guys in the chat have some opinions. Maybe we'll give you guys a chance to get in on it because we're deciding, me and Chad are deciding between a couple different things to add to this same game parlay. But let's get to this Eagles first half play right here, right? Eagles 14.5 total points in the first half over. So they need 15. It's plus 100 on FanDuel. I'll take that any day of the week. I'm putting 1.5 units on that. Right. I already did actually, but that's what I'm advising to throw down here because they have hit 15 points in 6 out of 7 second quarters this season. All right.
Hey, look.
Yes, you heard me
So what
right.
you're saying is drop a unit on this pre-flop and then wait, and if they're not there by the end of the first quarter, drop another half a unit and capitalize on it all coming in the second quarter.
That's actually a solid idea.
You know what I'm
It's a
saying?
pretty solid strategy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't hate that. That's a really good thought. I didn't even
Because
think about that.
you might be at plus 250
Yeah.
at that point, you know?
Yeah, and they both hit, you're gold. But
Because
yeah, I like that.
because what I was saying about the Texans, if they do some crazy shit early and it ends up where they have a lead early or something crazy like that, I'm not saying I expect the Texans to win this game. What I'm saying is
Don't take the 14.
I'm looking at
Take it
them to
later,
front
if
door.
anything.
Yeah, I'm looking at them to front door cover. You know, a lot of
Right.
times we talk about these teams coming in the back door after the
Mhm.
game's already settled and backups are in and they get a late touchdown to cover it through the back door. What we have seen in some of these primetime matchups that I've laid out is it actually happens the other way. It's a front door cover where they get out to a lead and then the favorite shows their championship moxie and comes back and ends up winning but not covering.
But you're getting a way lower spread at that point if the Texans do strike first. I hope they don't, because I do have a first touchdown player on the Eagles.
Oh yeah, on the
But
Eagles, yeah.
yeah, I hope not. But I mean, even a field goal and then a touchdown from the Eagles and then a touchdown from the Texans, 10-7 or something, that could
Right.
drop the score down a little bit for you. 14 points is a lot to lay for this team right now. So
Right.
yeah, not that they can't do it. We saw them do it last week against the Steelers, and I know the Texans are horrible. Like I don't trust the Texans enough to put my money on them at 14 points, but 14 is a little too high for me. I never bet them when they're that high anyway, on the favorite at least. I do like Chad's little thought there, though. I think that the Texans could cover this. So if you're thinking about taking
I
the
appreciate
Texans
you
side,
calling it a little thought. That was very nice of you.
well,
And you
you know what
pat
I
me on the
meant.
head while I tell you my little thoughts. So
My bad. For lack of a better sentence that I came up with on the spot. No, I like that though. If you're betting the Texans, take them now in case that happens, because then you're going to get a way less number there, and the Eagles might strike back and end up winning by 13 or something like that.
Right.
But if you like the Eagles, wait till post flop. Don't bet that 14 points. And if the Eagles score first, oh well, missed opportunity. You like the Eagles? They might have won by 28, whatever.
Another bus is
well,
going
it
to
is
come.
what it is. Yeah, exactly.
You missed that bus, another one's coming.
Yeah, but real quick, just to sum up this over 14.5 total points at plus 100 on FanDuel, insane value. They've hit this in only the second quarter in 6 out of 7. The one game that they missed this in the second quarter, they also missed in the entire first half. So they are 6 out of 7 in the first half in general too. They only had 14 points against the Cardinals. That's the only miss. And that was like their lowest scoring game, I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken. They only ended up scoring 20 and 14 were in the first half there. They did not have a big offensive showing in that game, which obviously we're expecting a way better offensive showing. So I don't know why FanDuel gave me plus money for this, but like, thanks very much for the donation to my bank account, because that's amazing. 1.5 units on that. And that they're going to smash that against this Texans defense. Texas defense is terrible.
They don't have a
like historically terrible.
Yeah, they don't have a thing where you can pick how many points the Eagles are going to score in the second quarter.
They probably have second quarter on the top.
They have the total. Yeah, but they have no. They did. I'm in
side.
there. They had the totals, overall total, and they have a spread and all this other stuff. They don't have points per side. So
I would have took.
I was looking for it.
Whatever number they gave me.
That's what I'm saying. I was looking for it. I was like, shit. If it's 7, I'm on it, man.
Yeah,
this is
for sure.
It's crazy.
All right. Hey, everybody in the chat, let us know your thoughts if you agree with some of these picks, or if you got any picks that you want to throw out. We'll talk about them.
Yeah.
But
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and hit that subscribe button if you're new here as well. You
want
to get into player props too now?
Yeah, is this going to be part? Can we package this in our same game parlay, or this?
Not on FanDuel, but
you got to kill
on
this.
Other,
all right, so
on other
check
stuff
this one out.
But
yeah, 14.5 over 14.5 for the Eagles in the first half at plus 100. I'm going to clear it now so we can build this same game parlay, because that is where it is at. We think we've identified something.
You want to go there now?
Yeah, shout out to AG for finding these gems in here, because this is some good shit. And I want y'all to see this. So let's go to the rushing yards.
You want to go right to the same game?
Yeah.
Let's
do it. Yeah. So we had alternate rushing yards for where are we? Is this Miles Sanders and Dameon Pierce. So what were you thinking? Because I'll give you the numbers on them. So we got Sanders at 60 plus yards is minus 350. That's a little steep for me. Sanders 70 plus is at minus 198 for a same
Yeah, let's
game
take
parlay. I kind of
70.
like that. Yeah, so let's take that 70, and then Damian Pierce at 60 plus is minus 152. It gets really
Yeah,
steep if you get lower than that.
I
So
like that though. I like the 60. I was gonna ask about maybe what about 70, but I think we don't need to be greedy
yeah,
necessarily. And
70
this
is
is
plus
a
114, but that's steep, man.
and this is FanDuel's offering a no sweat on this, right? So
yeah.
we're in the green on that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. So what else we got? We had Miles Sanders for a touchdown for sure. We
Right.
like that. Now the next one was deciding between, are we throwing Damian Pierce a touchdown? I mean, the Texans got to score at some point, right? This Eagles defense isn't that great,
Mm-hmm.
but this Texas offense is bad. So what do you think? Do we go Damian Pierce? Do we go Jalen Hurts with a rushing touchdown? Although I just talked about how I don't see them running him much, but the red zone's a different story. They get down
Mm-hmm.
on the one, you know what I mean? That they're gonna run that QB sneak that they love to do with him. He'll get a touchdown there or a scramble in the red zone, you know.
So if we're picking one of those, I would tend to lean more towards Damian Pierce just because the money's
Right.
better. I don't see the odds being as big of a disparity as what the numbers show. So we got Jalen Hurts at minus 20 anytime touchdown, Damian Pierce at plus 140. So if I'm building a parlay and I'm kind of swinging for the fences anyway, with some moderation in there, like we're going to go for real on this. We're not going to do anything crazy. I'm not putting Damian Pierce down for 2 touchdowns or anything.
Right.
I do like what Big Mike Raider has here. This Davis Mills INT play. That might not be a bad one to add to this
Definitely
because
not. Yeah.
I could definitely see that. And then I would also want to look at maybe some of the defensive sack totals for either individuals or for the Eagles as a team. But yeah, so I would lean Damian Pierce if I'm going to drop another TD in here. And that brings
Yeah,
us
and I mean the
plus 809.
Eagles rush defense is like middle of the pack, you know what I mean? And they are also 29th in yards per carry allowed, this Eagles defense. The Texans are only 23rd, so Damian Pierce doesn't like break them that often. But
Mm-hmm.
they've been playing some solid defenses, if I remember correctly, in terms of the rush game compared to this Eagles defense, who's allowing 5.1 yards per carry right now on average. So with those odds, I like Damian Pierce to get at least one drive down to the red zone, down to the goal line, and him to punch it in.
An
I
opportunity.
mean, who else are they going to go to right now? Unless it's like the tight end or something, they're
Right.
not going to try to go to the pass game if they don't need to.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I like Damian Pierce in there. What does that get us to though with Damian Pierce, Miles Sanders, and those yardages?
Plus 809 is where we
Yeah,
are
I'm
right
taking
now.
that all day long. Give me that, and it's a no sweat on FanDuel.
All right,
So
and if this
what's
one
the
is
no sweat
still
up to $25? What's
10 bucks,
$25
up
getting?
to 10, it's up to
Oh,
10.
really?
So
Oh, wow.
yeah, unfortunately, it's only up to 10. But
Uh,
I just want to say this one is
What's
still
that
here.
10 get? Oh, yeah, 80
Jordan
then. Right.
Akins is still here. That gives you $90 or $80.
Well, I'm playing that
Net.
straight, but if you want to throw that in your parlay, that's up to you.
I
But
already did.
I'm
I
going to
threw
play
it in
that
mine.
straight.
Yeah,
Okay.
I put it in my parlay
Not a
because
bad idea. I don't
yeah.
hate that at all.
If you
I
do
don't hate
that,
at
it
all.
doubles it to plus 1769.
Okay.
And that's
Yeah, I'm going to.
doubling the odds from 809 to 1769 by adding this one little sliver that where you're telling me all these guys who are out for this game and we
Yeah.
just
Well,
we're
let's get
just
into
finding
that
out.
play. I'm playing it
Yeah.
straight, but you're more than welcome to throw that in the parlay and double it there. That doesn't sound half bad. I'm gonna just play it safe. Only because I'm already gonna play this straight anyway. I got another 1.5 units on this. By the way, that same game parlay, I'm only playing whatever the offer is getting us. So that's how much I'm throwing on
$10.
it, and then I'm gonna use that as a free bet. So whatever.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't hit, I think that's gonna cash though. But yeah, Jordan Akins over 13.5 receiving yards on FanDuel at minus 110. I don't know if FanDuel didn't get the memo or something, but Brandon Cooks is not playing according to Adam Schefter, and neither is Nico Hollins, which leaves the number one receiver for the Texans that will be suiting up today this season. The most yards for the Texans this season that's suiting up is Jordan Akins. He averages 14 yards per catch, 14.5 yards per catch he averages. We need him to get 14 yards. He gets one catch, we're gold. And Davis Mills has nobody else to throw to. Chris Moore, Damian Pierce, Jordan Akins. He's had a game with 68 yards 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, he had 68 yards. Last week, he only had 5 against the Titans. The Titans are a stout pass defense. So are the Eagles. But this game, I mean, come on. There's nobody to throw to. I understand that the Eagles are a really good pass defense, but I like my chances in this. He's had 22 plus in 4 out of 5 games.
So I don't know which one of these, just the odds just got so much worse, but like it just went from 1769 to 1607 before our eyes. So now I got to go see which one of these props changed, because we're looking at some. It's got to be in the rushing stuff.
But
So let's see.
yeah, so
But yeah, I love that. I love that look. I mean, this is AG has identified this kind of stuff multiple times, and it's we've had multiple hits on this stuff. So
shout out to Jabari of Judah. What's up, bro? He said this is going to be a blowout. I tend to agree with you, man, but that spread is just so high. I personally stay away from them when they're that high. If I'm going to take the favorite, I could definitely see it being a blowout, though. The Eagles get ahead early. I just don't know if I trust them yet in the second half. We shall see. It's yet to be determined. If they did what they did to the Steelers like 3 weeks this season, I probably would be taking the Eagles here, pretty confidently.
So it looks like the odds dropped on both rushers' rushing totals. Those adjusted rushing totals dropped.
That's fine.
A bit. It wasn't much, but it was enough to knock the parlay down. So
all good.
Just throwing that out there. But yeah, the single parlay without the Jordan Akins in there, just the 4 running back props, the Sanders 70 plus, Pierce 60 plus, and then Sanders and Pierce each with a touchdown. That is at plus 786 now.
Yep.
So
all right. So you want to get into the next play?
Yep. Let's do it.
All right. Next one. It kind of falls in line with this Jordan Akins play, but who is Davis Mills going to throw the ball to is a question I asked when we were talking about that prop.
Big Mike Rader says the Philadelphia defense at least once.
Right. But which is why I'm taking him at under 210.5 yards passing at minus 105. I'm only putting a half unit on that. I would like this a lot better if it was a little bit higher, but yeah, I'm putting a half unit on that at minus 105. He has nobody to throw to. The Eagles are 4th in passing yards allowed. You got to think he's getting at least 14. So hopefully Jordan Akins gets that catch, but I don't see him going over 210. I actually think that the Eagles have not allowed a quarterback to go over their posted line total for passing yards yet this season.
Oh wow!
If I'm correct on that, it's either 0 times or like once, maybe twice or something. But a lot of the times they have not gone over. So yeah, I love that play too. But I'm only putting a half unit on it just because there is that chance that the Eagles get away so fast that they throw the whole game. So I don't want to lose a whole unit on that BS. So I'm gonna play a half there.
Right, gotcha. All right, so half unit there. So if we drop 50 cents on this, we can win 43 cents. If you're so poor that you can only afford 1 unit bet to be $1, then 50 cents will get you 43 cents. So you're almost doubling your stack there.
And then the next play I got is Devontae Smith over 4.5 catches. I'm playing that at 1 unit plus 130 on BetMGM. It's also plus 108 on FanDuel. That's the next best value you're getting. So if you can't get BetMGM, go ahead and take it at FanDuel. But I got Devontae Smith for 5 catches. He's hit this in the last 3. He had 10, 5, and 5. A.J. Brown just went off. I feel like they're going to rotate and let Devontae Smith have a day. Not that he'll, maybe do what A.J. Brown did, but
right.
I think they target him a lot here. The Eagles are 3rd in yards per completion this season. Devontae Smith is averaging 11 yards per completion. Not that we're taking yards here, but hear me out. The Texans defense is 29th in yards per completion allowed. That is a recipe for Devontae Smith right there on little mid crossers and drag routes and even deep balls, maybe some long plays as well. They should be looking for him on those type of big plays early and often. So I like him to get the targets and I like him to make the catches on this Texans defense. And I expect some extra focus on A.J. Brown a little bit after what he did last week as well. So I'm going to take that also.
Yep. I'm seeing it the same way. And I wanted to ask you, so you said on BetMGM, Devontae Smith over 4.5 receptions is how much?
Plus 130.
Plus 130. Yeah, so that's significant because it's only plus 108 on FanDuel. And that's one of the big things that we stress here is do not just go to one book and just bet it whatever they're offering you. You got to shop this stuff around, especially if it's something that you like, that you feel good about. All right, what do you think about this? Mike Rader says Smith for a first touchdown. What do you think? Like he's
I
been
don't
on
hate
fire
it.
with that. I don't hate it either.
And it's Big Mike Rader, so I
I
mean, you
know,
might as
right?
well
That's what I'm
listen at this
saying.
point.
It's like
I can actually
the
just scratch
Midas
the rest of
touch.
what I was going to say for the show because all I had, all I had left was my idea for first touchdown scorer. But that's a wash now. It's
There
Devontae
you
Smith,
go.
so go lock that in, guys. Big Mike Rader said so. He's on a one first touchdown win streak right now. So, actually no, he had Nick Chubb too. He's on a two
Chubb, yeah,
streak. Yeah. So he's hit 2 in a row that he bet on. He had Alvin Kamara in that Raiders game, and he had Nick Chubb on Monday Night Football. So Smith first touchdown, if that hits, he's getting his own show, and he's going to go through the first touchdown scorer of every single game on the Sunday slate.
Right,
if it
right,
hits
yeah,
tonight.
yeah. Big Mike Rader, you got to come through on
But
a Sunday morning with us so you can drop first touchdowns for every game,
yep.
and we're gonna track it all. We're gonna all make some bread together.
But what I have for my first touchdown scorers are sticking with the Eagles. I didn't have Devontae Smith in that mix, but I'm throwing a half unit on each of these. Miles Sanders first touchdown plus 550 and Jalen Hurts first touchdown plus 550. Now, these are the favorites. You know what I mean? These are the most likely to get the first touchdown. I'm throwing it down a half unit each because it's at plus 550 for both. So you're betting 1 unit total on the first touchdown scorer, and if one of those hits, you're up 2.75 units. So I'm going to take that deal.
So I'm just pointing these out. These are the ones that we've talked about. So Devontae Smith is at plus 950, but I do
you're
like
getting better value there. But
I like this because this is effectively you're taking this at a full unit. If you do a half unit, you're at a full unit at plus 275, and I think chances are pretty good that if it's a Philadelphia first touchdown, it's going to be Hurts or Sanders. The Devontae Smith, I like it as if they take a deep strike early, that could hit, that could be really profitable there. But yeah, it's he said that's a deal. Let's go. All right, let's go, Big Mike Rader.
Yeah, that's all I had. So hopefully we get that first touchdown, and then that parlay there. If you want to just build that again and pull it up on the screen for everybody, I don't know if you took it off, but
no, I did.
But I'll just so everybody sees it again. But that's pretty much all I have for this game. I do lean the over if I had to pick it, but I'm not going to pick it, and I don't know how to call this spread, man. I think the Eagles could blow them out, but the Texans could keep it close. So we shall see.
Yeah. And this is the last piece. So that is the prop. Oh, it's back up to 786 now. So wait, no, that's where it was. My bad. Yeah, I was thinking of it was 1789 was if you added the Akins in. So I mean, I did one with him and one without him. And I had the straight as well as a play. So we'll see. But this is the parlay that we laid out. Sanders and Pierce each with an anytime touchdown. Sanders 70 plus, Pierce 60 plus. That's at plus 786 on FanDuel. And like we talked about before, they are offering a $10 no sweat same game parlay. So $10 will win you $78.67. Yep. And if you lose, you get your $10 back.
And speaking of the first touchdowns, what I forgot to mention for the first touchdowns, BetMGM, if you have BetMGM, usually does a insurance on the first touchdown. So what you could do if you're willing to risk that 1 unit, like I just talked about with Miles Sanders and Jalen Hurts with a half each, you can play that and risk that 1 unit if that's what you're comfortable with, and then go to BetMGM and take the no sweat on what Big Mike Rader said with the Devontae Smith bet.
True.
And then now you got 3 chances to get it right if the Eagles score the first touchdown. But like I said, Big Mike Rader, we're not just telling you to tail his pick because we like him. we do like him, but he's 2 for 2 in his last 2 of these.
Right.
So yeah, we're gonna ride that.
So so I will say this though, Big Mike Rader, on this right here, where is it? Let me scroll up and find it. Davis Mills 1 INT. I just got a notification from DraftKings saying that Davis Mills interception is the most popular player prop on in Louisiana right now. So every time I get these little notifications, it's always like an okey doke. It's always some like, hey, look, look, this is a really good bet. Hey, I always go back to the Justin Herbert 1 touchdown stepped up from minus 800 to plus 100, and they like bragged about it and sold you on the idea.
Yeah.
Dude threw 0 interception. I mean, 0 touchdowns in that
He
game.
was on like a 94% touchdown every game rate, and then that happened. But hey, speaking of that, and speaking of Philly Houston, DraftKings ran a special last night also for the
World
Sixers
Series
to have 19, the Sixers and Phillies to combine for over 19 and a half 3-pointers made and hits. Over 19 and a half total combined between the Phillies and the Sixers. Guess how many threes the Sixers hit?
I don't know, like 2?
19.
Oh, 19. Oh, exactly 19.
Guess how many hits the Phillies had?
Not 19.
0. They got no hit.
They got no hit. They almost got.
Bro, that shit died because the Phillies couldn't get one hit.
They couldn't get one.
That was their promo.
Yo,
to your point about the promos being an okie doke, Philly and Houston just went through it last night. How about that?
How they knew, man. Like that is not fair. How in the world? That's like that that thermos. It's like it keeps hot stuff hot and it keeps cold stuff cold. Well, how does it know? Somehow they knew that they could put it at 19 and a half and the Phillies would not get a hit. Holy shit, bro.
The Sixers really hit exactly 19 threes too, which is the fucking crazier part, low key.
And so
like
tonight's even better though, because tonight it's Philly, Houston.
Right.
So
I'm surprised I haven't seen any specials.
So look out for that stuff and look out and I would stay away from that shit and maybe even look at taking some plays that go kind of counter to whatever that prop is that they're trying to feed you. Because when they try to feed you the stuff, it's too easy, and it's too good to be true means it's too good to be true. It ain't true.
Have we checked to make sure that FanDuel isn't running our same game parlay like Monday night or Sunday afternoon?
I haven't checked that. But
I don't see it anywhere. I do see Dameon Pierce involved in an odds boost. AJ Brown 50 receiving yards, Dameon Pierce 50 rush yards, and Justin Verlander 5 strikeouts. But
so I could see Verlander.
It's only boosted by 70.
Yeah, Verlander's terrible in the World Series, and he's not that good in the postseason. He's kind of like the Clayton Kershaw of right-handed pitching. Dominant regular season, great, like Hall of Fame career, but you get to the postseason, he's got like a 6 ERA. And in the World Series, it's even worse. And you saw that in, what was it, game 2, where they just got their ass handed to him. I could totally see something similar happening with this one, where he could be under that strikeout total. But the other thing is, that AJ Brown thing could be a little bit of a bait. I still think AJ Brown hits 50 plus, but I don't know. I think that's an interesting one, but keep your eye out for some of those, because there may be some stuff that you could build on your own that kind of play those two things together. But they're definitely trying to sucker people in. That is slick. They pulled that shit off, man. I'm impressed. Vegas.
So Big Mike Rader just said something in the chat too about Caesar. So I'm checking this out. That's on Saturday. Okay, so check this out.
Eagles, MLS. Okay,
check this out. The Philly MLS team is also playing for the championship. And real quick, how about that? Like 4 years ago, Philly sports was like a complete laughingstock. And now the Eagles are the best team in the NFL record-wise, at least. And the Phillies are in the World Series, and the MLS team is there. The Sixers are a top contender. They haven't started too hot yet, but like they're a top contender anyway. And all right, so this Caesars play is the Phillies and Eagles each to win tonight, and the Union to win the MLS Cup on Saturday, plus 750. So I'm not worried about that. That doesn't dive in any of the props that we had, and we are not calling for the Eagles to lose here, but we also aren't calling for them to cover the spread. So if they do lose, whatever. If they do lose, Chad was probably more right than anybody that talked about this game yet. So
yeah.
Although that I'm not saying that for anybody who didn't catch the beginning, I'm not saying that Chad has the Texans here tonight. He does not.
I do not have the Texans. I'm saying that
he thinks they have a chance of covering this though, for sure.
Yeah. And if I'm leaning one way or another, it's Texans covering this, and I think the Phillies actually winning tonight, beating Verlander again. I think people are sleeping on Noah Syndergaard. He's been pitching really well of late, and I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how that game goes down. But welcome, Teen Raider. I see you in the chat.
Yes, sir.
Thanks,
Shout out
thanks
Teen
for coming
Raider.
aboard. Shout out Raider Nation. Shout out to Wasted Talent and all the folks over there. But yeah, so that's this is our same game parlay that we're pulling, and we're not really taking a side on the game tonight, but we do like this over because I think the Texans are gonna put some points up. It's probably going to be late, probably going to be in the third or fourth quarter, because that's usually what the Eagles do is they give up some cash at the end. But
well, the game script that our props lay out says the Eagles cover 14. But we're not taking that as an official play. You know what I mean?
Right,
what we think's going to happen is that the Eagles will probably cover this by the end of it. But we understand the chance that the Texans cover here. This is a pretty big spread for a road primetime team, and Chad's pretty on the money with those usually. So
yeah, and for my model, the teams that typically. Basically, if you've got a team that is favored more in my model than what the spread is, those teams are actually usually successful. And then if you have a team that's an underdog, but my model says they should be the favorite, those teams are pretty successful. The weird part is in the middle, when it's supposed to be closer, the favorite actually, if my spread favors the same favorite as Vegas does, but it's a smaller spread, it actually favors the dog to win more often than they should. So it's basically like if I have the favorite favored by more than Vegas, go with the favorite. If I have the dog, go with the dog. If it's anywhere in between, I don't know. Figure it out for yourself because it's not really a good indicator in that gray area. So this is one of those cases where I think I've got Philly by 16 in this matchup in my model. 30-14 is my implied score given the over under number. So that's kind of where I'm going with this. And I like Philly to win, but I kind of go back and I'm like, man, this is one of those setups though. Vegas likes to do this, and we've seen it already a couple of times. There's no reason that Green Bay should have lost to Carolina or the Jets or both or whatever the hell it was, and then
Green Bay to the Jets, Tampa to
Green
Carolina,
Bay to the Jets, Tampa to Carolina, and then Tampa to Pittsburgh also.
So much wacky shit going on that we can't even get it straight
anymore.
But
anymore.
Yeah, Jay Pylon said, did you guys have the Browns? We did not have the Browns, but we also did not have the Bengals as like an official pick or anything.
No,
but we were leaning to the Bengals. The game script that we laid out with like our player props probably led to the Bengals winning. But that's why we went 1-3 that day. That was our first losing day in like 2-3 weeks. And it's all good because we only ended up losing like a unit or two because that one that we did win was a pretty juiced up in our favor. So we did pretty well, and we're still up 28 units in the last 2 weeks. So I'll take that any day. But we were not on the Browns though. We were not all over the Browns.
Yeah, if
the
spread had been bigger,
good shit, bro.
If the spread had been bigger, I would have recommended putting some money on the money line for the Browns because then the money is paying you to do that. But no, not with this. But hey, man, I got to run. So we can wrap it up.
Let's roll through these picks that we gave out real quick.
All right.
While everyone's here in the chat. So we had the Eagles over 14.5 total points in the first half at plus 100 on FanDuel. I put 1.5 units on that. They've hit that in 6 out of 7 second quarters alone. I mean, come on, you can't beat that. That's insane value. Then we got Jordan Akins over 13.5 receiving yards on FanDuel at minus 110. Brandon Cooks and Nico Hollins are out. They're the ones who are the leading receivers on the Texans. And now the leading receiver for the Texans this season is Akins with 159 yards. He had 68 yards 2 weeks ago, and he's averaging 14.5 per catch. He's had 22 plus in 4 out of 5. Need I say more? I think he gets at least one catch, 2 catches, 14 yards. I'll take that any day. Davis Mills under 210.5 passing yards. Like I just said, he has nobody to throw to. I got a half unit on that though, just because it's a little bit of a low number, and the Eagles are 4th in passing yards allowed. So I do like that to hit, but it could end up being a situation where the Eagles are up by so much that Davis Mills passes the whole second half, and then this might not hit. So I only put a half unit on that. It's at minus 105, so it's not too juiced. So I'll take that. And then we got Devontae Smith over 4.5 catches at plus 130 on BetMGM, plus 108 on FanDuel if you can only get that. Still not bad there. I'm putting 1 unit on that. He's hit this in the last 3 games, 10, 5, and 5. The Texans defense is 29th in yards per completion allowed right now. So they should be looking for Smith for some big plays, drags across the middle, things like that, all day long, or all night long, I should say. And then our first touchdown bets, we have a half unit on Miles Sanders and a half unit on Jalen Hurts. They're both plus 550 for the first touchdown on FanDuel. So it's 1 unit total we're risking. And if one of them hits, then we're up 2.75 units on that play. And yeah, that's what we got. Shout out to Raider Nation real quick, because it seems that Wasted must have just sent everybody over here real quick.
That's right. Shout out to Wasted Talent.
Quez Watkins with the touchdown. See, I saw somebody tweet this morning that it feels like a day where some nobody on the Eagles scores a touchdown. And I'm not saying he's like necessarily a nobody, but he's definitely underrated on the Eagles, like for a touchdown score.
Yeah,
you know
he ain't AJ
so I don't
Brown,
hate that.
Devontae Smith, or Miles Sanders.
Now I'm feeling like I'm feeling like it's all aligning now, because I saw that tweet this morning. I was like, who might it be? Quez Watkins. All right, I might throw something on there.
Let's see. Anytime touchdown.
What's his odds looking like?
Let's see where we at.
Shout out Sauce the Prophet also. Needs some good luck for this week.
Plus 800.
Hell yeah. Hey, I'm pulling for your Raiders, man. Chad, what'd you say?
Plus 800 for Quez anytime touchdown.
There you go. That's not bad value at all. Hell yeah. Fuck it. Let's do it.
I like it.
Let's ride. I'm with you, Team Raider. Shout out Sauce the Prophet. Yo, we're riding with the Raiders, man. We want them to beat the Jags up, man. We just did a show with Big Mike Raider. Check that out tomorrow. Make sure you're subscribed if you're new here right now.
Dropping it tomorrow.
Big Mike Raiders, we got a couple shows with him lined up for this week. We talked about the Raiders game. So that'll be dropping tomorrow afternoon. And also shout out to Yoshi Mitsu. Appreciate you guys. Oh, and shout out to Hunt B in the chat. This is my homie right here. Ricky Diesel. He made an appearance last Sunday with or 2 Sundays ago with Clyde Edwards-Helaire being benched for what's it, Isaiah Pacheco.
Oh, and Pacheco,
and Pacheco hit those yards. So shout out to Ricky Diesel. He had the Browns as well. We did not here on this channel. But all right. With that being said, tune into the next episodes throughout the week. We'll be talking about some more games, and best of luck betting tonight. Peace.
Peace, Joe.